Hi, I'm Joe Jordan, and today what I want to talk to you about is when business becomes personal. A lot of the discussions I have talk about our impact on our clients, the fact that people can die too soon, they can live too long, and they can get sick and disabled. But you know what? Those risks are the very same risks we experience, those people who are in the business. And this story is about as personal as it gets. A lot of people have heard me speak, and I talk about my own personal situation. And for those who haven't heard me speak, my mother was married to a very successful attorney. He was an advisor to Harry Truman. We used to have 3 homes. We had one in Washington, one in the Bronx in New York, and then a summer home in Blue Point, Long Island. And my father in 1952, he cashed in a $100,000 New York life policy to buy an apartment building in the Bronx and got killed in a car accident. So my mother woke up, and she had 4 kids. I was 6 months old, and the oldest was 12. 2 girls, the oldest, a brother, and myself. And my mother had to raise us. And, my mother was never raised to be a professional person. She was raised to be a homemaker. And so this was very difficult. And on top of that, we were living pretty high on the hog. And what happened is overnight, she became the poor relation. She got a job as a secretary in the bartenders local without skills. The Bronx where we lived was great in the 50s, not so nice in the 70s. And that's what she had to do. The worst decision my mother had to make was my 2 sisters. Out of both of them, one of them got a full scholarship to college, and my mother had to make the decision that the girls could not go to college because they had to go to work to make sure the boys went to college. How do you like that legacy? That's how I grew up. I mean, I remember my mother crying herself to sleep, but I was too young to figure it out. So why am I telling you this story when business becomes personal? I was in this business since 1974, and this situation, which formed me, which is the way I grew up, I never talked about it. I never talked about it because I thought it was hokey, and it wasn't professional. What I had to do was show the charts and the graphs and make sure that I got the math right. I wanted to be cute, funny, and let's subvert the tax law. But I had no personal bias in the business. And what happened was, for the first time, I began to contemplate, as I was going in this direction, living a significant life, I said, hey, what about my dad? What about if that $100,000 was enforced in 1952? You know what the hell $100,000 was in 1952? It's millions. You could have bought a house for $5,000 that you could sell for $800,000 by 1980, and you know I'm right. But we didn't have that. Isn't it crazy that I was in the business and I never made the connection of what we did and who I was? And so, that happens a lot in the West, We sometimes believe in dominance, okay? The left brain dominates the right brain. Things like nature, we need to conquer nature. It's not so in the East. What they believe in is harmony and balance. And that introduced me to the idea of the fact that you also have to have some passion attached to it. How could I have missed it? And how many times do we walk around knowing it and it's different? And finally, that catharsis started to work on me. And ultimately, what I found out was really why I was in the business. A lot of times in this business, we focus on what you want. Those are goals. We focus a lot on how to get what you want. Those are skills and products. They're important. But we never focus on why we're in the business. And I never did that. I had a lot of personal success, but it was not very fulfilling to me. And so I was enriched, but not fulfilled. And finally, along these thought processes, what I began to realize is what my purpose is. And really, my purpose in life, I think that I've been taking direction from my mother. That my purpose is to make certain that I talk to the thousands who can save the millions, and that's you. When you have a purpose in life, that comes through. And I think a lot of people misunderstood a lot of my behavior because I was always impatient and I don't think I treated people nicely, and people would tell me that. But it's when you come to the idea of having harmony and balance and know why you do things. And when you come to grips with that, then I think you're at peace. And then you can operate better. And then you feel better about yourself. So that's my story, and I hope you find that worthwhile.